Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to All About Healing, and this show was very, very intense. And I put this on for a healing show because there are different subjects that we need to discuss in order to heal ourselves and people that we love. And it starts with being comfortable with conversations that are not comfortable. So Maralee McLean just was on the show, and she wrote a book called Prosecuted but Not Silenced about her own domestic violence with her ex-husband. And then even worse than that was the sexual abuse of their child that went on for years and years and years. And they ended up giving him custody, even though doctors and psychologists and other people had put on the documentation absolute proof that this child was a victim of sexual abuse, and she named her abuser over and over again. And yet the biological mother gets pushed out of the way, labeled as crazy, and they started using parental alienation syndrome as their reason why this man should get custody. And he ended up with full custody of this child that he was sexually abusing on a regular basis for 8 years before the mother could get her back. And that's where we want to go into today is trauma. So trauma to your body is a very significant, life-altering place to start. Trauma to your mind, trauma to your body. When things like this happen, you really become two separate people because you have to jump out of your body to be able to even stay alive during such shocking, ultimate trauma and betrayal and violence to your body, to your mind, to especially when it's someone that you know and love and trust. And that is, because I do what I do, which is massage therapy, but not just massage therapy. I'm a manual lymph drainage therapist. I specialize in post-cancer treatment and also in emotional release. So I work with the energy part of the body to help with that disassociation. Cancer is a huge, huge connection to abuse and trauma. That's why when so many people, or I think almost every woman, when they get diagnosed with breast cancer, one of the first questions asked by the doctors is, have you been in an abusive relationship? Because there is a huge link to cancer from sexual trauma, physical trauma, abuse, PTSD. Those things matter. They plant roots inside your body and they begin to grow and flourish. And if we don't know how to pull it by the roots, then it just keeps coming up all the time. I consider it like energetic carrots that are under the dirt, and then you have to pull the carrot up and out, but you also have to know how to fill that open space. Because when you've gone through trauma, and then that particular energy spot, if you will, or carrot gets removed from where your body has always harbored that pain, if there's nothing filling it back, then you're going to run back to that pain. Because as much as we don't like to admit it, pain becomes our friend because we're so used to living with it, whatever pain that is. This doesn't have to be from sexual trauma, but my God, that is just, to me, the ultimate betrayal in the world. And this is happening right now. We know this. We're seeing a sexual assault person come forward, and the world is siding with the abuser. And how can so many people that are actually victims themselves turn their heads against things that they know are not right? And that's what's happening, and it's growing. Toxicity is knowing the right thing to do and not doing it. And how many people and how many times in your life have you turned your head to somebody that needs you, to the underdog that needs somebody else to speak up and keep you safe? And here in this book, Maralee McLean talks about that she fought tooth and nail to keep her child safe, and it wasn't enough. This is where the suicide rates and where people, oh my gosh, I can't even begin to imagine, because I would become a feral, wild, rabid animal. And I pray to God not to be tested on that. If somebody hurt my child, my children, my beautiful, beautiful children, they're sacred, they're innocent, and I want them to stay sacred and innocent as long as they possibly can. And it's my job to keep them safe. But I'm in a lucky place because right now this isn't my situation. Her situation was with an abusive husband, and then she left him. And this happens way too often, but it's not just husbands. This is, I know people that were sexually assaulted or sexually abused by family members that they trusted the most, neighbors that they asked to babysit, friends of the family. You think these are by strangers, but more times than not, it's by people that you think could never do that. And that is what's so scary, because the truth is the human condition in general, the human condition is capable of amazing, beautiful, wonderful, boisterous things. And in that same token, they are also capable of unbelievable violence and just violating things. And I was thinking about that because of the other day. I was in a yoga class last week and I was practicing, and I literally had a thought in my head of what would we do if an active shooter came into this yoga studio and shot us. And then 2 days later, that's exactly what happened at a yoga studio in Tallahassee, Florida. And I read it in the paper. And a doctor and a young girl who's from my town was shot, even though she lives in Florida. I live in Atlanta. And that's exactly what happened. Somebody came in posing as a student and they turned on everyone and pulled out a gun, and they killed people and injured several people. And I started thinking about this because I was nervous to go to a movie last week, and my husband thought I was being really paranoid. Things aren't going to happen in our neighborhood. Things aren't going to happen to us. That is the most naive way of thinking, and that's what will get you in trouble. So if I constantly say that why do I think that the only people that live extraordinary lives are other people, then I have to think that way about the violence too. So if people get to live extraordinary lives, including myself, and that the world is really your oyster and it's what you create and make of it, okay, then I have to also turn that coin and understand that the violence and the things that are happening, what makes me think that I'm safe? What makes me think that it's not going to happen right here on my soil, in my area? Why would I think that this area is off limits? It's not. I can't get into the heads of crazy people. And unfortunately, crazy people can get their hands on very, very effective killing machines. And, this violence, it's everywhere and it's out of control. And the fact that so many people are witness to this violence and still turning their heads and playing dumb and supporting the guy. And I know that people aren't supporting these mass murder shootings. I get that, except that you're still supporting the things behind it that makes it possible. Or, excuse me, I just thinking about this sexual abuser, ex-husband, father, getting custody. Excuse me, this just chokes me up. It's heartbreaking. And it's just so intense. And I feel this energy all over the place. It's not just from this book, and it's not just from the shootings. This energy, this violence that's happening, when is it going to be enough? And how do we teach adults compassion? How do we teach adult people to care if it's not affecting you? If it's not affecting your own family? If it's not affecting your own children? Look at the border. Look what's happened to people being torn away from their families, and we all turn our heads because why? They're not U.S. citizens? Where is the compassion? Where's the line drawn? And thankfully, at least Maralee, who's been through hell, a million times over been through hell, is making it her life's mission to help other families. And for 25 years, she's been helping with the court system to help the rights of abused children and help them with finding the right avenues to get their child back, or hopefully not lose their child in the first place. And this parental alienation syndrome, that was some quacko doctor that made that crap up, and now people are using it all over the world, saying that that's the case. And she was just saying on the show that they're even thinking about custody becoming an automatic 50-50, no matter what the relationship is with each parent. You guys, divorce is so prevalent in the country right now. This is a travesty. Now, it would be great if you get 50-50 and you got two really good parents, but if you're talking about a parent who would violate that child's body and soul and change who they are, and to not even recognize the depth of what your hands and behaviors are capable of doing, you are killing your children. We, as a collective that keep turning our heads to violence, are killing children. We are part of the problem. I don't actually know how to become part of the solution except for talking about what I can do and trying to just make sure that it lives in my home, because compassion and kindness and love and healing, helpful, loving touch lives in my home. I can guarantee that, because that's the part that I can handle and that I can be in charge of. But I don't know how to make the world better. I don't know how to make us understand that people that are violated need us to support them, to help them, and protect them. So if you guys have suggestions on that and you want to help us come together and help bring a collective consciousness of compassion into our world, I am with you. Shoot me an email, Emily A. Francis, that's EMILY, like Apple, FRANCIS @gmail.com. Shoot me an email. Let's do this together. Let's bring a wave of compassion because the world needs us. You guys, this has been all about healing. It's been lovely. I'll see you guys next week.